Hi, I'm Christina McCoy. I graduated in 2015 with my PhD from the Spanish and Portuguese department. They've changed the name of the PhD since then. So I think now it's called Latin American and Iberian Languages and Cultures. And I now work at an association called NAFSA, Association of International Educators. My job title is Associate Director of Conference Program, which means I work on our annual conference educational content. So after I got my visiting assistant professorship, decided that I went on the MLA one more time, called it quits, maybe sooner than some people would, but I knew that it wasn't going to be my path, if you will. I started working at a place called International Baccalaureate, which some people watching this might be familiar with the IB program. They do K-12 curriculums. So what got me that job was actually A, my Spanish, and B, my event planning experience, putting on graduate colloquium, I had put on a couple of different colloquium for journals that various professors in my department had run. So I ended up kind of being the go-to person for events in the graduate department at the time. I also was the programs officer on the graduate student assembly. So that was a really valuable experience in terms of working with graduate students from all across the university, not just in the College of Liberal Arts. And I was putting on really big events for them. So that was something that I just did to get involved on the university level, but it ended up getting me my first job. I never thought I would be in events, but I realized that I was really good at it. So that was, I think, a skill that I ended up honing by accident, but ended up really being the reason that I got where I am now. And so now at my current job, I'm not doing event logistics. I'm on the other side of it with the content. So I would say those were the two things that got me into the path that I'm in now, that I was able to really weirdly, randomly end up getting really good at while I was in graduate. Another skill that I wanna mention briefly is just that ability to project manage. So, certainly people get PMP licenses and become professional project managers. And I don't have that, but having taught multiple courses at a time as a graduate student, while presenting at conferences, while trying to get published, while doing my reading, and while writing a dissertation, and while serving on the graduate student assembly, I mean, those are really transferable skills no matter where you go, to say, I can do all kinds of projects with competing deadlines, shifting deadlines, and still deliver on time, right? I mean, that is, not a lot of people are working under that amount of stress regularly, and that amount of pressure. And so I think that that's such an important skill. And also for those people watching who might be teaching and might be TAs or AIs on the side, learning to communicate with all different audiences and speak, all the way the language of the dean to the language of the student, I think is also a really important skill for honing that craft, whether it's in interviewing or whether it's in, speaking with C-level executives or all kinds of people throughout your organization, and having that kind of like putting on your teacher hat, and that performance hat, and being able to really perform in that way. Sometimes I say to myself, if I can defend a dissertation, I can do anything. And I really, truly feel that if you can defend a dissertation and hold your own in front of kind of one of the most pointed crowds you'll ever be in front of, then you can kind of do anything in life. Start working on a resume now, and ask your friends who didn't go to grad school for theirs, and don't get bummed when their resume looks really robust and yours doesn't, because you've just had a different path. So that's something that's really easy that I know I got hung up on, was feeling like I was really behind. And all of my friends who didn't go to grad school had like formed this life and had retirement accounts and like, benefits, and feeling like I was so behind there. So, but get someone's resume. And I'm not gonna lie, I hired someone to look at my resume when I was having trouble finding a job. So if you have, I know that not everyone's gonna be able to do that, but is that a friend? Is that a professional resume helper? Is there someone that there's actually, and I don't wanna advocate for throwing money at the problem, but I know that there are services that will help you convert your CV to a resume, but I would start tinkering with getting a resume going, because it's actually really hard to convert your CV to a resume and it takes kind of a while. So I would enlist your network in that, and whatever that means. Another recommendation I have for transitioning out of the graduate student life and into a more traditional kind of 9-to-5 job would be, I think, reaching back out. I would say, reaching back out to those people that didn't go to grad school and asking them how they got their first job. I mean, it's hard to change careers. And so I'm going to give emotional advice rather than practical advice. For me, after a couple of rounds on the MLA, when I couldn't get a tenure track job and I was only, getting these visiting or seeing these adjuncting roles, when I finally decided that I wasn't going to do that anymore, that was really awful. I'm not going to lie. It sucked a lot. It was really sad for me to give up something that I'd worked like nearly a decade on, and including undergrad even more. I felt bereft. I felt like I died a little death. I don't want to scare people, but it really was a hard transition that I don't know that I was emotionally prepared for, and I don't know that anyone is, but the magic of that moment, the lesson I have from that is that if you decide to transition out of graduate school and go into the more traditional 9-to-5 alt-ac kind of work, the beauty of it is that it's a 9-to-5 and it's just a job, right? So I am able, because of that, to hold my work at arm's length. I know not all of my colleagues have that skill. In fact, most of them don't. I have that skill now as a protective device because I lost my career and I lost my identity, and that was really sad and hard for me. But now, at the end of the day, I'm not perfect at this, but I am, I think, more equipped to shut the computer, to focus on the things that are really important to me, and to, I think, more often than some of my colleagues, not be so bothered by the traditional stuff that happens all day at work that is annoying to you, right? And all of those little nuisances that come up throughout the day in any job. And so I believe that my capability to compartmentalize that is now greater because of that. So I'm not sure this is an exact answer to your question, but I would say that is the beauty of transitioning to a different kind of work, is that ability to focus on what's important in life, which oftentimes is not your work.